The morning sun had just begun to climb above the quiet streets of Willow Creek. Officer Liam drove his patrol car slowly along Maple Avenue, sipping his lukewarm coffee. The town was usually calm at this hour. People waved as he passed, and the scent of fresh bread from the local bakery drifted through the air. Liam liked this quiet. It made him feel safe, focused, ready for anything. But that morning, something felt different. His radio crackled, cutting through the soft hum of the car. Unit 12, be advised. A vehicle reported stolen. White sedan, license plate 4K9982. Last seen near the downtown area. Approach with caution. Liam's eyes narrowed. He noted the description. It was an ordinary white sedan, nothing flashy, but stolen vehicles could be dangerous. His hand rested lightly on his holster as he turned the car around. The street seemed unusually empty, and Liam's attention sharpened. His training kicked in. He scanned each car carefully. Then a block away he saw it. A white sedan parked near a small cafe. The license plate matched the description almost perfectly. His heart beat faster. He flicked on his siren and lights. The car slowly moved to the curb and a woman inside rolled down the window. "Good morning, ma'am. Can I see your license and registration, please?" Liam asked, keeping his voice steady but firm. The woman looked at him calmly. She had a presence that filled the car. Her eyes were warm, but there was a seriousness in her expression that suggested she was not easily startled. She handed over her documents carefully. Liam examined them. Something seemed familiar, though he could not place it immediately. He ran her information through his handheld device. The results blinked back at him. For a moment, nothing seemed wrong, but the description of the stolen car was clear and he had to act. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step out of the vehicle," Liam said. The woman's calmness did not falter. "Officer, may I ask why?" "There's a report of a stolen vehicle matching this one," Liam replied. He kept his tone polite, but his training urged caution. "I need to verify everything at the station." The woman nodded slowly. She moved with grace, stepping out of the car. Her hands were visible as she complied. Liam felt a slight hesitation. There was something about her presence that made the air feel heavy, almost important. He shook it off. He had a duty to do. The drive to the station was quiet. The woman, though arrested, remained composed. She did not complain. She did not argue, but she did observe Liam carefully. He noticed her intelligence immediately. Her gaze was sharp, analyzing everything, but her posture was calm and respectful. At the station, Liam began the process. He called in her information and waited for confirmation. The clerk typed quickly, eyes widening slightly. "Officer, I think there's been a mistake," the clerk said. Liam leaned over. "What do you mean?" "This is Judge Maya Harris. She is a sitting judge in our district," the clerk explained. Liam froze. He blinked, then rubbed his eyes. Judge Maya Harris? The same woman he had arrested? His heart sank. How had he not recognized her? She was well known in Willow Creek, respected by everyone for her fairness and wisdom. He looked at her, expecting anger, expecting outrage. But Judge Harris remained composed. Her expression was calm, almost serene. She did not yell, she did not accuse. She simply nodded as if understanding the human error before her. "I see," Liam muttered, feeling heat rush to his face. I am very sorry, Judge Harris. I did not recognize you. I made a mistake." Judge Harris smiled gently, a small, forgiving smile. "Officer, mistakes happen. I know you were only doing your duty. Let us correct this quickly and respectfully." Liam felt a wave of relief mixed with embarrassment. He had been taught to remain calm, professional, and fair, but nothing in his training prepared him for arresting a person of such authority. And yet she had handled it with grace that left him stunned. The station manager approached. "Officer Liam, let's clear this up immediately. Judge Harris will be released, and we will make sure this is properly documented." As the paperwork was corrected, Liam watched Judge Harris. She spoke softly to the clerk, giving instructions and guidance with patience. She radiated a quiet authority that reminded him why people respected her so much. Even in a difficult situation, she commanded respect without demanding it. When everything was resolved, Judge Harris turned to Liam. "Officer, I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to admit the mistake. It says a lot about your character." Liam felt a mixture of pride and shame. Pride that she acknowledged him, shame for the error. "Thank you, Judge Harris. I will be more careful in the future." "I promise," Judge Harris nodded once. "We all learn from our experiences." Let this be a lesson for both of us." As she left the station, Liam watched her go. He could see why she was admired by the community. She moved with purpose, every step measured, every gesture meaningful. Even after a stressful encounter, she remained dignified and strong. Later that day, Liam sat in his patrol car staring out at the streets. The incident replayed in his mind. How easy it had been to judge too quickly, to act without full understanding. He realized how much responsibility he carried as an officer, and how important it was to approach every situation with patience and respect. He thought about Judge Harris. She had not yelled, not shouted, not made him feel small. Instead, she had shown him the power of calm authority, the strength of patience, and the importance of dignity. He felt a spark of admiration and a desire to grow as a person and as a police officer. That afternoon, news of the incident spread quietly through Willow Creek. Some found it amusing, others were curious, but all respected the calm manner in which Judge Harris handled the situation. Liam knew that his mistake could have been far more serious, and he was grateful for her composure. By evening, the streets returned to their usual quiet. Liam drove slowly along Maple Avenue again, reflecting on the lessons of the day. Mistakes happen, he thought, but how one responds matters more than the mistake itself. He would never forget the woman who had shown him that truth with grace, dignity, and strength. And though he did not yet realize it, this was only the beginning of a story that would change him forever. The encounter had left an impression on his heart, one that would influence every decision he made, every action he took, and every way he viewed those around him. The sun set over Willow Creek, painting the town in soft shades of orange and gold. Officer Liam parked his car near the station, took a deep breath, and promised himself he would carry the lesson forward. Mistakes were part of life, but humility, respect, and growth were far more powerful. Judge Maya Harris had not only shown him the error of his ways, but she had also inspired him to be better. And in a town like Willow Creek, that kind of lesson was rare and priceless. The morning after the incident, Officer Liam woke with a heavy sense of responsibility. The memory of arresting Judge Maya Harris replayed in his mind like a vivid scene he could not erase. He remembered her calm eyes, her composed voice, and the quiet authority she carried even in the face of an unexpected mistake. Liam dressed carefully in his uniform, adjusting his badge until it felt perfectly aligned. He took a deep breath and stepped out into the crisp morning air. The town of Willow Creek had already begun to stir. Shopkeepers opened their stores, children walked to school, and the familiar hum of life resumed its gentle rhythm. Yet for Liam, the town felt different. Every glance from a passerby reminded him of his error. Every whisper seemed to carry judgment, even when no one spoke directly to him. At the station, his colleagues were already gathered around the coffee machine. Some sipped quietly, while others glanced at Liam with a mix of curiosity and amusement. Rumors had traveled quickly, as they often did in a small town. "Morning, Liam," Officer Green said casually, though the faint smile tugging at his lips suggested he knew more than he was letting on. "Big day yesterday, huh?" Liam nodded, feeling the weight of embarrassment pressing down on him. "Yeah," he replied quietly. "Big day indeed." He moved to his desk, avoiding eye contact, and tried to focus on routine reports. But the memory of Judge Harris's calm demeanor made concentration difficult. He kept seeing her in his mind, the soft but steady way she spoke, the patience in her smile, and the quiet dignity that seemed to fill every room she entered. The phone on his desk rang, pulling him from his thoughts. It was his supervisor, Captain Reed. "Liam, I want to see you in my office," Captain Reed said firmly but without anger. "We need to discuss yesterday." Liam swallowed hard and followed the captain. The office smelled faintly of coffee and polished wood. Captain Reed gestured for him to sit. "I understand what happened yesterday," the captain began, folding his hands on the desk. "It was a mistake, yes, but you acted based on the information you had at the time. That said, you need to understand the impact of your actions. Arresting a respected member of our community, especially a judge, carries consequences." Liam nodded. "Yes, sir. I understand completely. I didn't recognize her and I acted too quickly. I take full responsibility." Captain Reed studied him for a moment. "I know you do, Liam, and that is why I want to make sure you learn from this. Judge Harris has already been very gracious. She said she appreciates your honesty and your willingness to admit the mistake. Not everyone would respond like that. You need to carry this experience with you. Learn from it and grow. Liam exhaled slowly, relief mixing with lingering shame. I will, sir. I promise. After leaving the office, Liam returned to his desk. He stared at the reports in front of him, but his thoughts kept drifting. He thought about Judge Harris's patience, her unwavering calm, and her ability to handle a stressful situation without anger or judgment. It was humbling. He realized that in a moment of human error, she had displayed qualities that he had admired for years from a distance. Word of the arrest had spread quietly through the town. At the local coffee shop, barista Anna spoke to a group of friends, carefully keeping the story light but informative. Apparently, Officer Liam stopped a car thinking it was stolen. Turns out the driver was Judge Harris herself, she said, shaking her head with a small smile. The friends chuckled softly, but there was a tone of respect in their voices. Wow, the judge didn't even get upset? One asked. Nope, Anna replied. She stayed calm the whole time. People say she even told him it was okay and that mistakes happen. Liam heard the story later, not directly, but through fragments from colleagues and neighbors. Each retelling emphasized Judge Harris's grace, and each retelling deepened his admiration and his sense of responsibility. He realized that the incident had become more than just a personal mistake. It had become a lesson in patience, respect, and humility. By midday, Liam received a call from the courthouse. Judge Harris's assistant, a young woman named Nina, spoke politely but firmly. Officer Liam, Judge Harris would like to meet with you briefly. She wants to discuss the situation and ensure everything is clear moving forward. Liam's stomach tightened. A meeting with the judge herself was nerve-wracking, but he knew it was necessary. He agreed, and by early afternoon he found himself walking up the steps of the courthouse. The building was imposing yet welcoming, with tall pillars and polished floors. Liam took a deep breath and stepped inside. Judge Harris was waiting in her chambers. She rose as he entered, offering a warm smile. Officer Liam, thank you for coming, she said. Her voice was calm, steady, and kind. Thank you for seeing me, Your Honor. Liam replied, bowing his head slightly. I wanted to apologize again for yesterday. It was a mistake, and I regret it deeply. Judge Harris gestured for him to sit. Officer, I want you to understand something. Mistakes are part of life. What matters is how we respond to them. You have shown integrity by admitting your error and being willing to learn from it. That is far more important than the mistake itself. Liam nodded, feeling a mix of relief and awe. I understand, Your Honor. I will do better. I will make sure this never happens again. Judge Harris smiled. I believe you will. Remember, your role as an officer is to serve the community. But it is also to act with fairness and patience. Sometimes taking a moment to see the full picture can make all the difference. Her words struck Liam deeply. He realized that she was not simply forgiving him. She was teaching him, guiding him to become a better officer and a better person. The weight of her insight made him sit straighter, pay closer attention, and absorb every word. After the meeting, Liam left the courthouse with a renewed sense of purpose. He walked through the streets of Willow Creek, observing the people around him. He noticed how each person carried their own story, their own struggles and triumphs. He understood that every interaction mattered, that patience and respect could transform a moment, and that his actions could leave a lasting impact. The rest of the day passed in a reflective haze. Liam responded to calls, spoke with community members, and handled routine duties, but his thoughts kept returning to Judge Harris. He thought about her calm authority, her intelligence, and the dignity she carried in every action. He realized that her influence extended far beyond the courtroom. She inspired others simply by living with integrity and respect. That evening, Liam returned home exhausted but thoughtful. He sat by the window watching the sun dip below the horizon. The colors of the sky reminded him that each day was a new opportunity. Mistakes could happen, but growth, humility, and respect were always within reach. He took out his notebook and began writing, a habit he often used to process his thoughts. He wrote about the arrest, the courtroom meeting, and the lessons he had learned. He wrote about Judge Harris not just as a judge, but as a human being, whose patience and dignity had left a lasting impression on him. As he closed the notebook, Liam felt a sense of peace. The embarrassment he had felt earlier had transformed into determination. He would carry the lesson forward. He would be more careful, more observant, and more respectful in every interaction. And though he did not yet know it, His journey with Judge Harris's influence was only beginning. The events of that day had planted a seed of growth that would continue to shape his actions, his decisions, and his understanding of what it meant to serve the community with integrity. For Officer Liam, the mistaken arrest was no longer just an error. It had become a turning point, a moment that challenged him, humbled him, and inspired him to become a better version of himself. And in the quiet streets of Willow Creek, beneath the fading light of evening, he felt the promise of that growth taking root. The next morning, Officer Liam woke with a sense of quiet determination. He knew that yesterday's mistake had consequences beyond his own embarrassment. The town of Willow Creek was small and news traveled fast. What had started as a simple arrest had become a story that the whole community was talking about. Liam realized that he had a responsibility not only to himself, but also to the people he served. At the station, he entered with a measured step. His colleagues glanced at him, some nodding politely, others exchanging knowing smiles. Officer Green, who had teased him lightly the day before, gave him a thumbs up. Liam returned a small smile, silently acknowledging that he had learned something important. Captain Reed called him into his office once more. The captain's face was serious but calm, a reflection of his experience in guiding young officers through difficult moments. "Liam," Captain Reed began, "we have to handle the public side of this situation carefully. It's not just about correcting your mistake. The community needs to see accountability, and they need to see that our department is committed to fairness." Liam nodded. "I understand, sir. I want to make sure I do the right thing." The captain leaned forward. "Good. First, you'll write a full report of the incident. Detail exactly what happened, why the mistake occurred, and how it was resolved. Then we'll release a public statement. Be honest, take responsibility, and acknowledge the lesson learned. People respect honesty more than perfection." "Yes, sir," Liam replied, feeling the weight of the responsibility but also a sense of purpose. He spent the next few hours writing the report carefully. He described the events step by step, emphasizing that he had acted based on the information available at the time, that he had recognized his mistake, and that Judge Maya Harris had handled the situation with grace and patience. Once completed, he submitted the report to Captain Reed, who reviewed it with a critical eye. After a few suggestions and corrections, it was approved. The report would serve as both a record of accountability and an example for other officers about the importance of careful observation and respect. By midday, the department prepared a brief public announcement. Liam and Captain Reed stood together at the front of the station. A small crowd of townspeople had gathered, and a local journalist held a microphone ready to report the story. Captain Reed spoke first. "Yesterday, Officer Liam made a mistake during a routine traffic stop. He arrested a vehicle that was reported stolen, only to discover that the driver was a respected member of our community, Judge Maya Harris. Officer Liam has taken full responsibility, and the situation has been resolved. We are committed to learning from this incident and ensuring that our officers act with both caution and fairness in the future." Liam stepped forward, his hands slightly trembling but his voice steady. "I apologize to Judge Harris and I apologize to the community. I acted too quickly, and I will use this experience to grow as an officer and as a person. Mistakes are opportunities to learn, and I am grateful for the guidance and patience shown by Judge Harris. I will do better." The crowd reacted with polite applause. Some faces showed understanding, others curiosity, but all seemed to appreciate his honesty. Liam felt a mixture of relief and humility. Speaking publicly about the mistake was uncomfortable, but it reinforced the lessons he had already begun to internalize. Over the next few days, the story continued to circulate in Willow Creek. Some residents shared their thoughts at the coffee shop or in small conversations on the street. Most were supportive of Liam's honesty, but the incident also sparked broader discussions about judgment, fairness, and the responsibilities of those in authority. At the courthouse, Judge Harris continued her work as usual. She presided over cases with the same calm authority that Liam had witnessed firsthand. She did not use the incident to punish or lecture anyone. Instead, she focused on her duties, demonstrating that integrity and patience were stronger than pride or anger. One afternoon, Liam was assigned to assist with security at the courthouse. As he walked through the hallways, he noticed Judge Harris speaking with a group of young law interns. She smiled, listened carefully, and offered guidance with gentle authority. Liam felt a renewed sense of admiration. The experience had taught him much about human dignity and composure. Later, he had a brief encounter with her in the corridor. She nodded politely and said, "Officer Liam, I hope the public statement helps clarify the situation." "It does, Your Honor," he replied respectfully. "Thank you for your patience and understanding." Judge Harris smiled. "Remember, it is not just the statement but your actions that matter. Continue to act with fairness and thoughtfulness. That will earn more respect than any words can." Her words resonated with Liam. He realized that growth was ongoing, and that one incident, even a mistake, could teach a person far more than years of routine experience. Back at the station, Liam's colleagues treated him with a mixture of friendliness and gentle teasing. Officer Green clapped him on the back. "Well, Liam, at least you got to meet the judge up close," he joked lightly. Liam smiled, acknowledging the humor but also recognizing the deeper lesson. That evening, Liam returned home, exhausted but thoughtful. He sat at his desk reviewing the events of the week in his mind. He thought about his actions, the community's response, and the way Judge Harris had handled the situation. Her example had shown him that leadership was not about authority alone, but about patience, fairness, and dignity. He wrote in his journal, detailing what he had learned. He wrote about the importance of verifying facts before taking action, of listening carefully, and of treating every individual with respect. He wrote about humility, about acknowledging mistakes, and about using errors as opportunities to grow. The act of writing helped him process the experience. He realized that this mistake, though embarrassing, had changed him. It had taught him lessons he would carry for the rest of his career, and it had shown him the power of grace and understanding in every human interaction. Days turned into a week, and Willow Creek returned to its usual rhythm. Liam continued his patrols, more observant and thoughtful than before. He greeted residents with renewed warmth, listened more attentively, and approached each situation with a careful balance of caution and respect. One afternoon, while assisting at a community event, Liam noticed a group of children playing nearby. Their laughter echoed through the park, and he felt a sense of hope. Mistakes could happen, he thought, but how one responded could inspire others. He wanted to be an example of integrity, not just in words but in action. He remembered Judge Harris, her calm authority, and the patience she had shown. He understood now that true leadership was not about power, but about guiding others with respect, humility, and fairness. He vowed to carry that lesson into every aspect of his life. That evening, as the sun set over Willow Creek, Liam sat quietly on his porch. The streets glowed in soft shades of gold, and the town seemed peaceful once more. He reflected on the journey he had taken over the past week, from the mistaken arrest to public accountability and personal growth. Each step had taught him something valuable. He understood that mistakes were inevitable in life, but they did not define a person. What mattered was the willingness to learn, to admit errors, and to grow stronger because of them. And he knew deep in his heart that Judge Maya Harris had shown him the true meaning of grace, patience, and leadership. As he prepared for bed, Liam felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. The embarrassment of the mistake had transformed into wisdom. The public scrutiny had strengthened his sense of responsibility, and the example set by Judge Harris had inspired him to become a better officer, a better member of the community, and a better human being. For Officer Liam, the journey was far from over, but he now understood the value of humility, accountability, and respect, and as the night settled over Willow Creek, he knew that he would carry these lessons with him, shaping every choice and action he would take in the days ahead. The morning air in Willow Creek was crisp and clear, carrying the scent of fresh grass and the faint aroma of baked bread from the bakery near the town square. Officer Liam walked along the sidewalk, his uniform neat, his badge polished, and his mind occupied by the events of the past week. The mistaken arrest of Judge Maya Harris and the lessons he had learned from it still lingered in his thoughts, guiding his steps and shaping his attitude. He was assigned to provide security at a courthouse event that day. The town council had organized a public forum to discuss community safety, civic responsibilities, and ways to strengthen the bond between citizens and law enforcement. Liam was proud to be part of it, eager to demonstrate the growth and understanding he had gained since the incident. The courthouse stood tall in the center of town, its white columns gleaming in the morning sun. The steps were polished and wide, welcoming citizens who approached with curiosity and respect. Liam walked up slowly, scanning the area for any potential issues. His eyes caught familiar faces, local shopkeepers, school teachers, and a few children who waved shyly at him. Everything seemed calm, orderly, and peaceful. As he reached the entrance, a hush fell over the crowd, and Liam's heart skipped a beat. At the top of the steps, standing in full judicial robes, was Judge Maya Harris. Her presence was commanding and graceful, her robe flowing elegantly as she moved with deliberate steps. Her hair was neatly tied back, and her posture exuded confidence, experience, and authority. Liam froze in place. He had expected to see her in a more casual setting, perhaps walking through the courthouse quietly, or attending the event from the audience. But seeing her in full judicial robes, standing at the top of the steps as the center of attention, caught him completely off guard. His mind struggled to process the sight, and he felt a rush of nervous energy course through him. Judge Harris smiled warmly at the assembled crowd and raised her hand in greeting. "Good morning, citizens of Willow Creek," she said, her voice clear, steady, and commanding respect effortlessly. "Today, we gather to discuss how we can work together to ensure safety, fairness, and justice in our community. Each of us has a role to play, and each of us can make a difference." Liam's eyes followed her every movement, and he felt a deep admiration rising within him. The memory of her patience during the mistaken arrest intertwined with the present sight of her dignity and authority. He realized that leadership was not about force or command alone. It was about inspiring others through example, through composure, and through integrity. As Judge Harris spoke, Liam took his assigned position at the side of the steps, ensuring that everything remained orderly. But his attention kept returning to her. She spoke to the townspeople with care, addressing their questions and concerns thoughtfully. She listened attentively to their voices, acknowledged their ideas, and offered guidance with clarity and wisdom. Every word, every gesture conveyed respect, fairness, and understanding. Liam was nearly trembling, overwhelmed by the power of her presence and the contrast to the moment just a week ago. Back then, he had been the one making the mistake, and she had responded with patience. Now, seeing her in her full role as a judge, he felt a mixture of awe, gratitude, and determination. After her opening remarks, Judge Harris stepped down from the podium to greet a few community members personally. Liam watched closely, ensuring that everything went smoothly. When she approached him, their eyes met. For a brief moment, Liam felt a rush of nerves and embarrassment. He remembered the arrest, his error, and the lessons he had learned. But he also felt a surge of resolve. He would act with respect and composure this time. "Officer Liam," Judge Harris said with a warm smile, extending her hand, "thank you for helping maintain order today. Your commitment is appreciated." Liam straightened immediately, returning her handshake with sincerity. "Thank you, Your Honor. It's an honor to assist you." "I will do my best," Judge Harris nodded approvingly. "I know you will. Remember, service is not only about following rules. It is about observing carefully, listening carefully, and treating everyone with fairness. You have shown growth already, and I have every confidence in your continued dedication." Her words struck Liam deeply. He felt a surge of pride mixed with humility. Pride that he had an opportunity to serve alongside someone he respected deeply, and humility in recognizing how much he still had to learn. The encounter reminded him that growth was ongoing, that each day offered new lessons, and that actions mattered far more than words alone. As the event continued, Liam assisted with crowd management and ensured that each interaction was smooth and respectful. He noticed citizens approaching Judge Harris with questions, concerns, and even simple greetings. She met each person with kindness and patience, never rushing, never showing irritation. Liam observed carefully, noting the subtle ways she inspired respect and trust. Her attention to every detail, her consideration for each individual, and her calm demeanor made him reflect deeply on his own approach to service and leadership. At one point, a young student approached Judge Harris with a notebook in hand, asking for guidance on a school project about law and community service. Judge Harris knelt slightly to speak with the student at eye level, offering encouragement and advice. Liam watched, impressed by her ability to balance authority and approachability effortlessly. The student left smiling, inspired, and Liam felt a quiet satisfaction in witnessing the impact one person could have on others. Throughout the morning, Liam continued to assist with the event, but his thoughts remained anchored on Judge Harris. He realized that the mistaken arrest had been a turning point. It had opened his eyes to the depth of her character, the importance of patience, and the power of respect. Seeing her in her judicial robes now made the lessons feel even more tangible, even more real. After the event, as people began to leave the courthouse grounds, Judge Harris approached Liam once more. "Officer Liam," she said, her expression gentle yet serious, "remember that mistakes can happen to anyone. What matters is how we respond. I have seen your dedication and growth, and I trust that you will continue to serve with integrity." Liam felt a lump in his throat. "Thank you, Your Honor. Your guidance means a great deal to me. I will continue to strive to do my best." Judge Harris gave a small nod of approval and then turned to greet another citizen. Liam stood quietly for a moment, reflecting on everything he had witnessed. He realized that his admiration for her was not simply because of her position, but because of the way she carried herself, the fairness she demonstrated, and the respect she showed to every person she encountered. As he walked back to his patrol car later that afternoon, Liam felt a sense of renewal. The morning's events had reinforced the lessons of the past week. He understood that leadership, service, and personal growth were ongoing journeys. Each encounter, each decision, each interaction offered a chance to demonstrate respect, fairness, and integrity. The memory of Judge Harris in her robes would remain with him, not as a symbol of authority to fear, but as an example of strength, patience, and dignity to emulate. He realized that true admiration was not about titles or appearances, but about character, actions, and the ability to inspire others by example. By evening, the town of Willow Creek returned to its familiar calm. Liam parked his car near the edge of the square and sat for a moment, watching the warm glow of sunset reflect off the courthouse steps. The lessons of the past week, the mistaken arrest, the public accountability, and the encounter with Judge Harris in her robes had left a lasting impression. He felt a quiet determination to carry those lessons into every future action, every decision, and every moment of service. Liam knew that he would never forget this day. The sight of Judge Maya Harris commanding respect with grace had shown him the true meaning of leadership. It was not about fear, power, or authority. It was about patience, fairness, humility, and the quiet ability to inspire others through example. And as the last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the rooftops of Willow Creek, Officer Liam felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had witnessed something extraordinary, a person who embodied integrity and dignity in every action, even in situations where mistakes had occurred. That vision would guide him, shape him, and remind him always of the standards he wished to uphold, not only as an officer but as a member of his community and as a human being striving to do good. The morning sun rose over Willow Creek, bathing the town in golden light. Officer Liam woke with a sense of purpose. The events of the past week, the mistaken arrest, the public accountability, and the encounter with Judge Maya Harris in her robes had changed him deeply. Today, he felt ready to face the world with a clearer understanding of responsibility, humility, and integrity. He prepared for his patrol, polishing his badge and straightening his uniform. Each movement was deliberate, a reflection of the care he had learned to bring to every task. He stepped outside, feeling the familiar morning air fill his lungs. The streets of Willow Creek were waking slowly, the soft murmur of life growing steadily. Children walked to school, shopkeepers unlocked their stores, and neighbors exchanged friendly greetings. As Liam walked toward his patrol car, he reflected on the lessons he had learned from Judge Harris. Her patience during the mistaken arrest had left a lasting impression. Her calm authority in her robes had inspired him. He understood now that true leadership and respect were earned through actions, fairness, and the ability to guide others with dignity. That morning, Liam received a call to assist with a community outreach program organized by the courthouse. Judge Harris had invited citizens to learn about the law, civic duties, and community service. Liam knew this would be an opportunity to see her once more, but this time as a partner in service rather than a figure of awe. At the courthouse, citizens gathered in the main hall. Families, young students, and local business owners filled the room, eager to hear and participate. Judge Harris stood at the front, welcoming everyone with a smile. Her presence was commanding yet approachable, her eyes kind and attentive. Liam assisted with logistics, ensuring that everyone had a seat and that the event ran smoothly. Judge Harris began speaking, her voice steady and clear. Our community thrives when each of us contributes, when we listen, when we act with fairness and respect. Service is not just about rules, it is about understanding, empathy, and the willingness to grow. Liam watched the audience, noticing the attention in their eyes and the respect in their expressions. He felt a sense of pride, not in himself, but in the opportunity to witness someone embody the qualities he had always hoped to achieve. After her speech, Judge Harris invited questions from the audience. Hands went up quickly, and she responded thoughtfully to each one. Some questions were about law enforcement, others about civic responsibilities, and some were personal inquiries from students curious about her career. She answered each with patience, clarity, and encouragement. One young girl asked, "Judge Harris, how do you stay calm when people make mistakes?" Judge Harris smiled. "Mistakes happen to all of us. What matters is how we respond. If we react with patience, respect, and understanding, we create an opportunity to learn and grow. That is the true measure of strength." Liam's mind immediately returned to the events of the past week. He thought of his own mistake, his embarrassment, and the lessons he had learned. Judge Harris's words felt personal, as if she had addressed him directly. He realized that growth was a continuous journey, and humility and respect were the keys to becoming a better officer, a better community member, and a better human being. As the event concluded, Judge Harris invited a few students to participate in a role-play exercise about community safety and fairness. Liam observed closely, ensuring that everyone was safe and engaged. He noticed how Judge Harris encouraged teamwork, fairness, and thoughtful decision-making. Her guidance inspired not just the students, but also the adults in the room, including himself. After the exercise, Judge Harris approached Liam quietly. "Officer Liam," she said softly, "I have seen how much you have grown. Mistakes do not define us, but our response to them does. Your dedication, humility, and willingness to learn have made a difference already." Liam felt a surge of gratitude and emotion. "Thank you, Your Honor. Your guidance has taught me more than I can express. I will continue to strive to serve with fairness and respect in every moment." Judge Harris nodded. "That is all anyone can ask. Remember, integrity is shown not just in big moments, but in every small action. Treat each decision with care, and you will inspire others naturally." The rest of the day passed in a quiet rhythm. Liam returned to his patrol, but his perspective had shifted. He observed citizens with renewed appreciation, listening carefully, offering assistance thoughtfully, and acting with patience and care. Every interaction became an opportunity to demonstrate fairness and respect, reflecting the lessons he had learned from Judge Harris. Later that afternoon, Liam visited the local coffee shop. As he entered, Anna, the barista, waved at him. "Morning, Liam. Looks like the courthouse event went well." "Yes," Liam replied with a smile. "It was inspiring. Judge Harris has a way of making everyone feel valued and respected. I have learned a lot from her this week." Anna nodded. "The town is talking about it. People are impressed by how she handled the situation with you and by how you've responded. It's nice to see growth in action." Liam felt a quiet satisfaction. He understood now that true change was recognized not by one dramatic gesture, but by consistent, thoughtful action. He had made a mistake, but he had chosen to learn and improve. That choice mattered more than the error itself. As evening approached, Liam patrolled the quiet streets of Willow Creek. The sun set in warm shades of orange and gold, casting long shadows across the sidewalks. He reflected on the journey of the past week, the arrest, the public apology, the encounter with Judge Harris in her robes, and the lessons learned through observation and experience. He realized that the incident had changed not only him, but also the town. Citizens had seen accountability in action. They had witnessed humility, honesty, and growth. The story of the mistaken arrest had become a symbol of learning and integrity, rather than ridicule or embarrassment. Liam parked near the town square and watched as families returned home. Children waved and neighbors greeted each other warmly. He thought of Judge Harris and the way she inspired respect without demanding it. Her calm authority, her patience, and her dedication to fairness had left a lasting impression on him. He vowed to carry those lessons into every future action. Later that night, Liam sat at home writing in his journal. He described the events, the lessons learned, and the ways he had grown as a person and officer. He wrote about humility, responsibility, respect, and the importance of observing carefully before acting. He wrote about the power of patience, the value of integrity, and the influence of individuals who lead by example. As he closed his journal, Liam felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had experienced a mistake, faced the consequences, and been guided by someone whose character inspired him deeply. He understood that true strength was not about never failing, but about learning, growing, and choosing to act with dignity and fairness in every moment. The next morning, Willow Creek awoke to a quiet peace. Officer Liam drove his patrol route with a renewed sense of purpose. Every face he saw, every interaction he had, reflected the lessons he had learned. The town had become a little stronger, a little more connected because of the events of the past week. And Liam knew that the impact of Judge Harris's example would continue to guide him for the rest of his career. He smiled quietly to himself, thinking about the journey he had taken. Mistakes were part of life, but growth, humility, and respect were the true measures of character. And as he watched the sun rise over Willow Creek, Officer Liam felt ready to serve with integrity, inspired by the quiet strength of someone who had shown him what it meant to lead, forgive, and inspire. The town, the citizens, and Liam himself had learned a valuable lesson. Mistakes could be transformed into opportunities for growth. Accountability could inspire trust, and leadership grounded in patience and fairness could guide others toward their best selves. And so, Willow Creek continued its rhythm, calm and harmonious, with Officer Liam walking its streets, carrying lessons of integrity, humility, and respect. The story of the mistaken arrest had ended, but its impact would resonate for years to come, shaping lives, guiding actions, and reminding everyone that human growth, patience, and dignity were far more powerful than any mistake.